Hello, welcome to the Submarine Force Museum. I'm Commander Brad Boyd, Director of the museum and Officer in Charge of Historic Ship Nautilus. Today I'm going to be bringing to you a story about one of our rare books in our reference library collection. This book you see right here, which is an autobiography of Georg von Trapp. I'm actually going to tie to you the submarine force and the sound of music right now, which a lot of you probably wouldn't be able to understand how there's a connection there, but there is, and I'll make my case. It also ties in with another artifact we have, the Whitehead Mark III torpedo, which we'll get to in a future episode. But Georg von Trapp, who is a real person made famous by Christopher Plummer in The Sound of Music, was born in the Austrian Hungarian Empire in 1880, went to a military academy, joined the Navy. The Austrian Hungarian Navy, was a frigate lieutenant and a ship of the line lieutenant, and then was assigned to Fiume, Austria-Hungary, to the Whitehead torpedo factory to learn about the new weapons platform, the submarine, and the self-propelled torpedo. Fiume, by the way, is actually in Rijeka, Croatia today. That's the modern day name of the city and location on the Adriatic Sea. And so he's assigned there, and while there, the U-5 and U-6 U-boats are under construction. He meets Agatha Whitehead. Now, Agatha Whitehead was born in 1891 in Fiume, Austria. She was daughter of John and granddaughter of Robert Whitehead, who were co-inventors of the Whitehead self-propelled torpedo. They were British engineers who moved out of England and settled in Europe on the Adriatic coast, and that's why they were there. But at the time, so she's about 18 years old, and she's actually the sponsor for the U-5. So she christens the U-5, breaks a bottle of champagne on it. And Georg had been invited to the launching and christening of the boat, and so that's where he had actually met her. They dated, courted for 2 years, got married, and quickly started a family and had 7 children. Unfortunately, about 10 years later, she contracted, well, the children, through the school, there was an outbreak of scarlet fever. All the children caught scarlet fever, and she got it from the children late 1921, early 1922, and unfortunately, eventually died of it in September 1922. But all the children that you see, those in the musical and The Sound of Music, those are her and Georg's children. So in the 1930s, the family falls a little bit on hard times. They were not as well off as the movie makes it seem. They had actually started to take on boarders. They were by no means destitute. They owned their house, they had boarders, but they were finding new ways to make money. And during that time period, Georg von Trapp actually wrote an autobiography, which is the book that I'm holding here, and we actually have a signed copy of it. So he writes this book, and the reason that the movie happened was he was a U-boat captain in World War I, a successful U-boat captain in World War I, and he had been approached by the German Navy to join up and join the German Navy as a U-boat captain in World War II. And had been approached 2 times, and denying the German Navy and ultimately Hitler was not a smart thing to do to maintain one's life. And so he and the family fled from Austria and eventually ended up in the United States, up in Vermont. And then in the 1960s, Maria von Trapp came down to the Submarine Force Library Museum at the time, and I'll show this picture in greater detail in a minute, and presented this book to the museum, as well as looked over the collection that we have about the Austrian Navy submarines, as well as Georg von Trapp himself. So with that, I'm going to pause, and I'll show you a little bit more about what we've got. So see you in a second. So Maria von Trapp, the von Trapps had fled Europe and come to the United States, and actually ended up settling in Vermont. And they had come down to take a look at what we had as a Submarine Force Library Museum about the Austrian submarines force, and specifically her own husband, Georg von Trapp. And this is his submarine actually right here, and that's him right there. It's Georg von Trapp. So, but this is what we have on the Austrian submarines, and specifically Georg von Trapp. And she had come down with a Catholic school that in the area that she was very devoutly Catholic. They had their own priest and own chapel on their own lands. but they were attached to a Catholic school. As you can see, the nun, as well as two students in the background. This, by the way, is the actual librarian in the museum at the time. Theta Bassett came to the Submarine Force base here in New London, Connecticut, which is where the museum was located at the time. It was actually on base grounds in a building. And this is her outside the museum on base grounds with a torpedo, not the Mark III that we have on display. And another shot of her here at the museum, reviewing the collection and looking at some of these pictures. Pictures she was holding there are some of these pictures right here. So, but she came to take a look at what we had, and actually all of you can come and take a look at our reference library. It is a working reference library. You can come and do your own research. We have two archivists here that can help you. Once again, once we actually open our doors back up. In the meantime, if you have questions, you can submit them and we can do research requests for you and try to help you find stuff. But we have things like that. We have rare books like the autobiography that we showed you before. That's Georg von Trapp's signature, by the way. The book is written in German, so if you want to read the book, I hope you can read German. But all that's available, and I hope you can come take a look at it. And if you have any questions, please let us know. But otherwise, thanks for coming along, and hope you enjoyed the tour.